good evening, I should say. Certainly hope you all are having a good one. Shout out to everybody that'll be here later on. Shout out to everybody that is listening live. And we will be off the air in about an hour. That gives you 10, 15 minutes to get ready for the Crossfire show with the Mooch and his crew. I'm going to try to jump on, but he's got a full house. So I don't know if I'll be able to jump on. I may decide to play some games. It's Thursday night. I don't watch a whole lot of TV on Thursday nights. And the lady of the house is at home. She was over here yesterday watching the One Chicago series. But okay. That is Chicago Med. I almost said Chicago Hope. Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, and Chicago Police or whatever it is. I forgot the name of it. But anyway. Shout out to her. She didn't leave a mess over here. Well, she did in a way. But shout out to me. Shout out to you guys especially. Big shout out to everybody that's become a new sub. Like I said, we're at 2,100, 2,103. Going to do a giveaway next Friday. Two codes will go out. One will just be a general. There's going to be 2 member codes going out. So we're going to see if you all win, you have to be membered up. And that is perfectly fine if you are. If you're not, just look into it. And hopefully you all can win. Go ahead and take a chance. The lottery's up to over $1 billion. So go ahead and take a chance on your boy. So, go ahead and hit that like button, though, and share the video. Because we'll be here for 45 minutes to an hour. Big shout out to everybody that's here in the chat. True Virgil is in here. And yes, there's no doubt what the primary story is right now, which is the whole thing going on with Hellblade 2. Now, I understand what I'm about to say here is going to surprise some of you all. Why I am not surprised that this game is running at 30 FPS, I'm very disappointed. And let me explain why. And I'm going to tear into some people. I've seen Matt's gaming today, damage controlling. All this happened when I was at work. He was damage controlling. I've seen Marlon Gaming Nation damage controlling. Crap Gamers. These are people in your community damage controlling. You have to understand one thing about Matt's gaming is that he literally is now saying this for you guys to go buy a PC. And I heard Marlon Gaming Nation saying that. You guys need to go buy PCs. If for you to get the performance on a PC for what your PS5 is giving you, you're going to be paying $1,200. Now, I'm not here to dig into anybody's bank, but part of the issue is that guys like Matt and guys like Marlon, they were part of this whole build up on what we were going to see this generation. And now that they have been shown that they are wrong, now it's, you guys just need to go build a PC. And I'm telling you right now, you can get a CPU, a good one, for about $170. That gets you started right there. That's your CPU. Still haven't bought your motherboard, still haven't bought your power source, still haven't bought your case, still haven't bought your memory, still haven't bought your GPU yet, but you're in $167, okay? When you get a 6800 XT, which is roughly what your PS5 is, you're looking at about another $499. Now you're over $800, give or take. You're right at $750 to $800. Still got to get your motherboard, about another $140. Boom, 1,000. Still got to get your memory. Maybe you get a deal, $49.99. Then you got to get your case. About $100. Guess where you're at? About $1,148 plus tax, $1,200. Now, why I am not surprised? That's why you can't. I don't know how you all listen to them at this point. I mean, I'm seeing people online saying, "Well, it's an Unreal 5 engine game," and so what? So what? Now, we've seen Unreal Engine 5 running on PlayStation, and the developer of the engine did come out and say that it would be, they could have ran this demo at 60 frames per second, but they just didn't. They did want a cinematic journey. Now, Hellblade 1 was called by the Xbox community a walking simulator. She was called a bug-eyed girl. Well, who just wants to walk around all the time? Okay, looks like you all do. Except when I played this game on PlayStation and I streamed the whole thing through, I was playing at 60 frames per second. It was 1440p 30 or 1080p 60. And the fact that they can't get their Xbox, once again, here's the disappointing thing, is that this game is linear. So it's already predetermined what you're going to be doing, okay? The game is linear. And it's 30 frames per second. And this is a first-party game. Again, I'll say this about Sony, which is every first-party game that they have has a 60 FPS mode. All of them. We did this podcast over a month and a half ago already. And every game, and this is not really about Sony, but Sony has already been here, done that. I can play 60 FPS on any Sony game I want. Even the ones that they didn't remaster. So I want you all to understand what I'm about to say to you, because I'm just going to say it one time. The reason why Sony remastered The Last of Us 1 and 2, remastered Ghost of Tsushima, was to give you a 60 FPS locked experience on some of their most popular games, and higher. I can play Ghost of Tsushima at over 100 frames per second when I turn everything on. Now, I can play The Last of Us, I can play The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 at 60 frames per second. And 4K. And it is dynamic 4K. It's dynamic resolution. I'm not mad at the resolution of Hellblade 2. I'm the one that told you that, hey, these resolutions, you're going to see a lot more dynamic resolutions because the technology has gotten a lot better. Bourbon and Coke goes down real smooth after a long day at work. So I am disappointed because this is a first-party game that is linear. They're saying that this game, it looks better than Forbidden West. No, it doesn't. Forbidden West is running on an open world engine. It's not, I tell you this right now, it is not running on a adapted engine that it can't do 60. Again, the Xbox cannot do 60 frames per second. It can't. And I'm just, even the one game, they have two racing games that are at 60. I assume Gears of War is Gears of War has got to be 60 frames per second because all the Gears of War games are 60. All of them on the Xbox. So let's start with the people who hyped up this generation. Now, I'm going to pay homage and respect to a guy that I admire, kind of took me under his wing, and, became a mentor. I can't say kind of. That is the late, great Optimus Code, who told Matt's Gaming, Dealer Gaming, Colt Eastwood, Next Gen 720, and the guys on the Crossfire podcast that this generation, that Sony had, he told me as well, he said that Sony has better tech to work with than Microsoft. And the way he explained it to me, and maybe you heard him say this, is that Microsoft, if you're making games this is before these systems came out, if you're making games for the technology right now, then Microsoft has an advantage. However, if you're trying to make games 3 years and beyond from now, Sony has the advantage. And he told me that, he told everybody, and he got crucified for it. He's just a fanboy. He don't know what he's talking about. Even though he had really good connections in the industry. What's up, Mary Wilcox? I mean, the fact that Hellblade 2 is 30 frames per second, for me, isn't the issue. The issue for me, this is just for me, is that it's a first-party game. And I don't care it's the best looking game. No, I mean, again, that's a matter of opinion. It could arguably be the best looking Xbox game. So you're telling me it looks better than Starfield? Because I was told Starfield was the best looking game in the history of mankind. And so again, I'm not here to say the game is bad looking because the game looks really good. That's not the issue. The issue is that it's 30 frames per second. That's a big damn issue. And that it is a first party game just makes it the worst. I still remember that great line from Mass Effect 3 when Garrus tells Shepard, you know, a promotion without merit can come back and bite you in the ass. And that's exactly what this has done. Now, I don't recall Microsoft and or Sony ever saying that everything is going to be 60 frames per second. I don't recall that happening. I remember Mark Cerny specifically saying that we have to put this kit in the hands of the developers and see what the developers do with it. So when a first party game should always have the option to run 60 frames per second. They being Microsoft, they being Sony, can't mandate what a third party developer does for them. They can't mandate it because they're not paying them to make the game. But every game that has come out for the PlayStation this year, this first party or second party, besides Dragon's Dogma, has a 60 FPS mode. The Last of Us, Grand Red Fantasy, Rise of the Ronin. We now know the MLB The Show, the Stellar Blade. Looks like the Stellar Blade is more powerful than a Hellblade. I was wrong about that. I got to eat crow there. Allow me to eat. Give me some Sweet Baby Ray barbecue sauce. I thought a Hellblade, like if I had to go to war and somebody said, here's a Hellblade or a Stellar Blade, which blade am I taking in the battle? The Hellblade. Well, then I guess I'll be moving to 30 frames per second, so I can't do it. If Eve fought Senua, Eve would kick her ass because she's moving twice as fast. And she's got the physics. So, I mean, how are you going to deny her physics, right? But even Tifa, who don't got a lot of physics, she's moving at 60 frames per second if I want her to. And to hear Matt's Gaming saying, well, it's not 60 all the time, it's still higher than 30. And that dude's a straight clown at this point. And I'll give credit to both Foxy Games and BitCloud. They reached out to him and tried to talk to him, but this dude was on this, well, this is the way I'm going to run my channel. Okay, well, now you got to get your cheeks busted. I'm the one I got mocked myself. I got mocked for saying that variable rate clocking is going to be better for what you need to do this generation versus static clock. No, you don't know what you're talking about. No. Here we are. 60 versus 30. Now I'm being told that it's okay that it's 30 because it looks good. I swear, these guys would walk in on their wife giving fellatio to another man with a bunny suit on, and then they would say, well, she only did it one time. What's up, J-Ro? I'm tired of the chicken shit coming out of their mouths. Here's a saying that my generation has. Your ego has written a check that your body can't cash. I remember the shows when with Marlon Gaming Nation, ginning up this generation. It's going to be 60. And to prove my point, go back and listen to the shows he was doing when the PS5 Pro leaked. And he was talking about how Grand Theft Auto 6 was going to be 60 frames per second, only to walk everything back when Digital Foundry came out and said, yeah, that's not going to happen. Then only to try to walk it up again by saying, well, they're going to have this upscaling technology. It's like, Negro, which one is it? Like, which one is it? Now, I have stood here Well, I've sat here and I've said Grand Theft Auto going to be 60 frames per second because of the upscaling technology. I'm standing on that. I'll go down on that. I will fall on that sword. I've also said what? GTA 5 is 60 frames per second. Why wouldn't GTA 6 be? Okay. But this is not about me, because I said that 30 FPS wasn't going to go anywhere. But I really believed that was only going to be for second and third party games, because neither Sony and Microsoft can't mandate what Capcom does. They can't mandate what CD Projekt Red does. They can't walk in there and say, you're going to do this. Now, how did Sony get Shift Up to do it? Because they gave Shift Up the money. They gave them the money. They helped them code for the PlayStation 5. That's why. And Sony went in there and said, okay, you took our money. This game is looking great. You got to give us a 60 FPS mode, this 1440p. So I really hope you all understand these consoles did not target 1440p. I'm sorry, they didn't target 2160p. So when Marlon and Matt and Crap Gamer, all of them had gamer in their titles, D-Batch, Dealer Gaming, Colt Eastwood, Mr. Boomstick, when they all were sitting there saying 60, 60, 60, no, not at 4K. Now, this doesn't mean that they can't get 4K on some games. I want to make that clear. We can get 4K on our PlayStation games. We can't. A lot of it ain't native. It's checkerboarded, right? Or it's dynamic. They never said everything's going to be 4K native. They said you will get more titles hitting 60 and 4K. That's exactly what we got. However, the target is 1440p. Hence for why I said if you build a PC, you need to determine where you want to play your resolution at. When I play Mass Effect on PC, I can play it at 1440p over at 160 hertz if I want to on PC. However, I always downsample. That's why it looks the way it looks. I don't have HDR on my monitor. I don't. I have Dell's most up-to-date gaming monitor, then they didn't put HDR in it. Go figure. I didn't know that till I got home. I was like, where's the HDR at? I'm not very good at buying monitors. So I bought a monitor, like I said, that Samsung monitor. Once I got it configured, I'm like, all right. Oh, it has SDR, not H. So I got fake HDR. Still looks very good, especially when I turn the lights off, and just have this monitor on. But it still sucks that I don't have full HDR on it. And that's on my PS5 Slim. However, we're not talking about my monitors, in which I didn't add to your PC bill. So you're looking at over $1,500, $1,600. And if you want a 4K monitor, you're looking at over $1,700, $1,800. I'll say it again. $1,700 to $1,800 for you to, and again, it's the same. It is almost the same cost to buy a PS5 and a new TV, which if you want to know this, the C3 LG TV, the C3, the 42-inch one is $899.99. I'm buying that TV. My monitor's going to take an L. It just is going to take an L. But I'm not mad at this game being 30 FPS. I'm not. I'm disappointed that yet another first party studio that Microsoft has, and they've nurtured this studio. And as Aaron Green, I think it was Phil Spencer that said in an interview, these studios are going to now start bearing fruit. I mean, they've got 60 FPS games. Outer Worlds, is that the name of it? Outer Worlds, something like that. That's 60 FPS. Forza, 60 FPS. How come they can't get this on a linear-based game? If you want to say, well, Craig, it's because it's not a first-party engine, you know what? That you can still go eat a dick. because I was told that this thing had 12 T-flops and 52 CUs and static clocks, and it had VRR and VHS and STD and all this kind of stuff on it by guys like Marlon, D, Dealer, and Matt. So what happened? Their egos wrote a bunch of checks that their bodies can't cash. And Chocolate Thunder going to come and get their cheeks because that's just the way this works at this point. It can't keep happening. Now, this may be a game of the year. They're talking about it looks so good. And you knew that when a studio is confident in its product, this game doesn't come out for 5 to 6 weeks. Now they want to start building hype for it. That's what's happening at this point. But at 30 FPS, I'm sorry, it ain't going to happen. Not at no 30 FPS. True Virgil says a lot of these Xbox guys are purposely dropping the soap for Microsoft. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Well, you know what happens to the guy that drops the soap. So, I mean, we all know what happens to him. Put a 1 in the chat if you know what happens to the man that drops the soap. Because that's what's happening right now. And I'm just looking at it like, this is disappointing as hell because how in the world do you go from world's most powerful console, 52 CUs, 12 teraflops, full RDNA 2, and you can't even hit 60 frames per second? And look, and let me make this clear. Proving my point to you that both of these consoles didn't target 4K. They targeted 1440p. That's what they targeted. And now that doesn't mean they won't get 4K on some of their games. Sony's got some 4K games that are native. But again, Microsoft nor Sony said that you were going to get native 4K on these games. Neither one of them said that. So I understand that. This is still disappointing because if they should have just, to me, this is just me, I'm only speaking for myself, they should have targeted 1440p 60 with this. That's what they should have done. Give me the 60 and give me the lower resolution with high graphic settings. That's where I live. Now you in my neighborhood. I'm not in the 4K neighborhood. Why not? Can't afford it. I know where my limit is. Give me 1440p or give me death. That's me. Now, I'm not going to criticize a man who goes out there and spends that kind of coin and gets 4K. I applaud you, but I can't do it. But I'm not going to criticize another man. But these consoles targeted 1440p. Hellblade 1 is 1080p 60. How come I can't have that? Where's that at? And I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for anybody. I want to make this clear. I'm not speaking for Miss Mary Wilcox. I'm not speaking for Charles Hawk. I'm not speaking for True Virgil, Harlem PS Gamer. I'm not speaking for none of you all. I'm speaking out of my own frustration. I do not, again, I want to make sure I make clear, Sony and Microsoft can't mandate second-party developers how to use their technology. First-party devs, they can. And it's clear that Sony, and I'll give a shout out to MBG because he made a good point. Ever since I got my PS5, shout out to the community, ever since I got my PS5, I've been able to play games at 60 frames per second. Even the old games, the PS4 games that they patched, all 60 frames per second. You know, Ghost of Tsushima, the PS4 version, you put that on your PS5, 60 frames per second. Now you don't get the better resolution. You don't get that. But you get Lock 60, Last of Us Part 2, Lock 60. You know, but that's what we got, right? So we've always had this. We've always had this. And so Sony, for the most part, as far as I am concerned, has delivered on their 60 FPS promise. Even now we get some games, if you have the right TV or the correct monitor, that has all the bells and whistles and all that stuff, you know, and the chicken wings and the sauce, they got everything on it. You can get higher than that. But what happened? I was told by Dealer Gaming that everything on the Xbox was going to run and look better. I was told by D-Batch that everything on the Xbox was going to look and run better. I was told by Matt's Gaming that things on the Xbox were going to look and run better. I was told by Marlin Gaming Nation to, quote, get the PS5 for their exclusives, but get your multiplats on the Xbox because they're going to run better and look better. What a bunch of bullshit. Coming from a bunch of guys that are full of shit. And yes, I'm calling them out because now you got people walking back. Oh, you just need to, go build a PC. You know what? You ought to, all that super chat money y'all been giving these clowns, y'all better go get your money back. You do what you need to do. When they come walking out of the house, you can be waiting right there for them. Like, hey man, let me talk to you, man. Let me rap to you real quick. Let me get at you real fast. I got a question. Dude, where's my money? Because this is ridiculous. And again, I'm not here to say not to build a PC. It's your money. But you're going to be, after you buy your monitor, now I know there are people out there, because most people still have LED TVs. That is the grand majority of people. They don't have these highfalutin TVs. They don't have the new Samsung. They don't have the new LG. Now, I'm telling you right now, the 42-inch LG TV, hey, I'm buying that. $900 out the door. I'm going to have that sumbitch delivered. I'm going to try to buy it tomorrow. And I'm going to have it delivered on Saturday. That's my plan. May not work. I still got to do my taxes on Saturday. Oh, God. Get that TV up and running. Put my PlayStation on it. Tell my monitor to go kick rocks. Like it was a nice 3-month run, Mr. Monitor, but you got to go. I got 42 inches of love here. Mary Wilcox is saying, I'm good with no native 4K. Dynamic isn't that bad. But for Xbox to continuously have a first-party game running at only 30 FPS is unacceptable. I agree. Because to me, it's never... And see, this really, really explains what happened here. And I'll give Crap Gamer some credit here, too. Crap Gamer said, and I quote him, what Xbox really wants and what the Xbox community really wants is a do-over of the generation where Sony had games at 1080p and Xbox was coming in at 792, 820, like 860. They had weird-ass resolutions. And Crap Gamer said Xbox wants a do-over on that. They never got over the fact that Sony, because Sony builds TVs, so they spec their console, the PS4, to run on those TVs to take advantage of the TVs, especially the Sony TVs. They put the same components in there. That's the truth. And Sony caught Microsoft slipping. They dropped the soap. Sony was there talking about, don't make me ruin that butt. That's what Sony was saying. And they sat up there and they ruined Microsoft's butt, undercut them by $100, said we have a more powerful console, and you're getting it cheaper than what you're paying Microsoft. And guess what? That was it. Katie barred the door. But Crap Gamer's right. So when Phil Spencer did that interview and said something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing him, that how he thought that they were going to just win because they had a more powerful console. So they still don't understand that it's never been about resolution. It's never been about anything but the games. Sony makes better games than Microsoft. This doesn't mean Microsoft doesn't pull out a pearl every once in a while. This game looks like a pearl. It does. But this running on a first party. This was made by CD Projekt Red. This was being made by Amy Hennig's new studio, and this is being made by, whoever. I was gonna say Comcast. This is being made by Capcom, EA. A third-party developer. I wouldn't say ish. I'd be like, well, it's a third-party developer. Disappointed, but they can't mandate it. That's what I would be saying to you right now. But for the love of chicken wings and beer, a first-party game needs to have a 60 FPS option, even if you drop the resolution. Because, see, think about what people are saying about Rise of Ronin. Oh, well, it just doesn't look that good. Okay, what about the performance of the game? See, they don't complain about the performance of the game because people say it's got really good performance. Like, yeah, that's what that studio is known for. They're not known to be a graphic hog. And then it's as well as Unreal 5. That doesn't make a damn bit of difference. You can scale Unreal 5. We saw the demo. Here's how you scale it up. Here's how you scale it down. Oh, well, what if they could give us 60, but it would be, it would only be, medium to high graphics. Okay, fine. So they're saving the patch for the pro. I don't know what they're doing. I know this is disappointing, but it's not a surprise. And I'm not saying to go and troll the people that I name, but you all got to really start asking yourselves why you're listening to them. Because here's what they do. They get information and they walk it back. You had people reporting that Sony's doing a showcase. Okay, based on what? Jeff Grubb. Oh, the same Jeff Grubb that told you that Sony was buying Square Enix? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Jeff Grubb. True Virgil said dealer gaming dip. Yeah, I don't know where he is. I don't know where dealer is. He's been gone, they said, I was told he's been gone for close to 4 months. And if that's true, okay, I hope he's okay. I'm just saying that I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. I'm not surprised. I'm just disappointed because I'm thinking, yeah, all their first party studios should be able to do 60 frames per second. And the majority, and I can't even say the majority, what's this going to do for a game like Indiana Jones? Is it going to be 30 frames per second? Well, now that's what I'm expecting. Now that's what I'm expecting. And it's becoming clear to me, and I'm just speaking for myself, I truly do believe Microsoft has mandated 4K. They've mandated fidelity and resolution over gameplay. Sony, based on what I'm seeing, has done the opposite. And the opposite has won. The opposite, 1440p, dynamically upscale to whatever resolution is working. To me, it says it's got a 30 FPS with dynamic resolution. So I just want to see the article here to see if it says what the resolution is. Says it'll only be increased on PC. That's okay. Let's see here. It doesn't say what the resolution is. It says here's Hellblade 2 Ninja Theory thinks his fans enjoy shorter focused games. Okay. So that's what, and I think Sony's gonna go to shorter games too because of the budgets. Or basically say you're on a $250 million budget, you better come in at that. And you also have to remember the Spider-Man budget, which hit $328 to $350. That also includes the DLC. That also is not like they just did the main game. That $350 million is the total cost of the game with marketing and everything. But it's a game, and it should not be going over $200 million. Like if I was there and they came to me and said, "Well, our budget needs to increase." Oh, what do you need? 10 million, 15? No, we need another $100 million. Hell no. Hell no. But I'm not in charge. Now, this happened 10 hours ago. Somebody told him to go kick rocks. I guess the head writer, he's leaving. That's Ninja Theory's co-founder, has left the studio. Yeah, he tired of 30 FPS too. I mean, it's, this is This is just very disappointing for me because I really enjoyed the first game, especially how they put the aspect of mental illness in so that we as gamers and we as just other humans could experience what some people are going through. That made me much more I mean, it literally made know that I was blessed and I don't have to go through this. I mean, that game was eerie when you're hearing people constantly saying there's something behind you or they're not trying to hurt you. Here they are coming with swords. It's like, they're not trying to hurt you. You know, stuff like that. So it's just, it was crazy. It was crazy. So now it sounds it's a next true gen showcase. Okay, Microsoft clearly believes next gen is just based on fidelity. It's both. You got to have the fidelity, you got to have graphics, and you got to have FPS. You just have to. This is crazy. And the people who ginned this all up, they're now saying for you all to go build a PC. Man, the hell with them. The hell with them. I can't tell you where to spend your money. I can't tell you who to listen to, but I be damn. I mean, this is crazy. Shout out to Charles Hawk, who says he's about 65% done with Rise of Ronin. Gameplay is good with no issues with performance. Knock wood. Yeah. So, I mean, this is nuts at this point. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, I am a little bit surprised, but I'm not shocked because I knew 30 wasn't going nowhere. But like I said, I really believe that would only be on.
I'm about 65% completion on Rise of Ronin.
Yeah.
Gameplay is good and no issues with performance. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Knock on wood. But I've not heard people complaining about the performance. I've heard the graphics aren't that good. But it's like, well, again, that is it Team Ninja or Japan, whatever, who made that game, Japan studio. They're not known for their friggin' graphics. Like, can somebody name me a Japanese studio that's known for their graphics? Maybe when Kojima was doing things for Konami, okay, maybe. But at no point in time were they known to be graphic hogs. Everybody knew they had, cheesy dialogue. Like I said, you want to hear some cheesy dialogue, listen to what they're talking about on Final Fantasy. Barrett talks like he's got a stick up his ass. What's wrong with you, Cloud? What's wrong? Cloud don't hardly talk. And Tifa and I can't think of the other girl's name, Aerith, they sound like a bunch of 19-year-old girls. Yeah, well, oh, what's going on? I mean, the dialogue has never been good. Even in my favorite Final Fantasy, number 9, where you had to still read the dialogue, it was still cheesy. I'm like, man, this is some of the cheesiest stuff I've ever read. But if you want to know why I took my Xbox back and got the money back, this is full disclosure now, I was told that Thursday that Hellblade 2 was going to run at 30 FPS. I was also told not to say anything. Don't say this, but Hellblade. I'm like, all right, well, the main reason I got the Xbox was to play Hellblade 2. And I'm like, well, I'll just go ahead and try to play it on PC. Now, even my RDNA 2 card cannot do ray tracing at 60. The Rise of Ronin at some point needs to improve the graphics. All right, well, again, this is just me being consistent. I don't expect a third-party developer's games to look as good as a first-party. Now, there are some exceptions, and I talked about this. CD Projekt Red, maybe Rockstar Games, and even to a point Capcom, I expect their games to take advantage of everything. But I don't think, like Sean Layton said, you shouldn't expect a second or third party developer to do something as well as your first party. Your first party developers are there to show the world what you can do with with the console, with your hardware. They should. I would not. I don't expect it. But again, like I said before, if I own a NASCAR team and Harlem PS Gamer is my main driver, and he gets sick and can't drive, and Bradley Simmers is the backup driver, I don't expect Bradley to do as well as the first driver, else Bradley would be the first driver. So I mean, that's just the simplest way to put this. But this is a colossal failure. This is a colossal failure simply because this is a first-party studio that can't do the damn job. Well, we wanted the fidelity. You mean to tell me 1440p isn't good fidelity? Todd Howard, maker of Starfield, a game that was supposed to be on. And you know what? If and when Starfield when it releases to PlayStation 5, Sony is going to mandate 60 frames per second. And they'll say, hey, look, you all can have the resolution all day long. We're going to take the frames. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. You know, I'm like I said, this is disappointing, but it's just not a surprise. It's just, you know, when a first party studio can't get, I mean, again, I get it. It's not their engine. That could be part of it. Maybe Microsoft needs to look at proprietary engines to start taking advantage of it. But I'm still looking forward to Gears of War because I've always liked Gears of War. That's arguably my favorite franchise. And again, you talk about cheesy dialogue. Go listen to those people playing Gears. I mean, the worst dialogue I've heard was the third act of the first Aquaman movie. That's some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard. I agree, Andy. In my opinion, there's no excuse for a first-party studio to come out at 30 frames per second. It just, I mean, we had that last generation. And we were supposed to move away from that. Sony has done that. MBG is right. Sony has delivered on that. Microsoft has not. Now, if you want to say, well, Microsoft, this game is the best of it, all right, fine. I'm not going to argue over graphics. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit up there and say that it's not a good-looking game. It is a good-looking game. You know, it is what it is. So it's for me. I can only speak for myself. I don't speak for you all. It is disappointing. So let's go ahead and close our poll. Shout out to the 54 people that voted. So we're going to end the poll here as we kind of land the plane. And you all are not surprised. Hold on. Are you surprised that Hellblade 2, a first-party game, locked at 30 FPS on series consoles? You all aren't surprised. I am surprised. I really thought, think about this. This is a linear-based game. It's not an open world. It is linear-based. And they can't hit 60. They can't hit 60. So that's just where Sony does not have this issue. I don't think Nintendo has this issue. It is what it is. Said if one day the PS5 Pro runs Blade Cheats 2 at 60 frames, we have to make that a holiday. I truly believe if all the games that Microsoft has put on the PlayStation so far are 60 frames per second. I don't know if you all have noticed that. All the games that they've put on there are 60 frames per second. That is not going to change with these two games. Capono is in the chat. Shout out to Capono. So he says he just got off work. Let's go. So Yeah, now Capone's PC is going to run this game at the max level, so hopefully he streams it. So Nintendo don't give a damn. Well, I think they're at 60. Shout out to Pedro, since the founder of Ninja Theory left. Yeah, one of the founders left. We covered that very briefly here. Am I getting the PS5 Pro from Cree Ross? Yes, if everything works out. I will be trading in my original PS5 though, and the Pro will get set up here. Then I will have to set all that up again. But yeah. Now every game I have on the PS5 is 60 frames per second. I'm still going to get Dragon's Dogma. I don't know why it's a dogma. I don't like the fact that it's 30 frames per second. I know they updated it and it's running like a little above 30 now. What they say it's like 36 at some point. But I just have to turn off. I just want to know what that game is like if you turn VRR off. Yeah, for me, Hellblade, it's going to do what it's supposed to do for me, in a sense that I will get it on Game Pass on my new PC. My new PC will be ready by the time this gets done. This game comes out. Yeah, I'm going to take Hellblade down to the metal of my 4080. Yeah, see, that 4080 right now costs what, like $1,400 or $1,200? Mario, who says Starfield had no reason not to be. I agree. Again, that's just, to me, it's obvious that Microsoft is mandating 4K native over at performance. That's what they're doing. It's obvious. So now you have to decide, do you want a pretty game that runs at 30 or a good looking game that runs under that but runs 60 frames per second? If that's what you want, if you want 60 at 4K, I say go ahead and build you a PC. But I'm not here to say the word we need this, we need that. No, you're only speaking for yourself. I only want 1440p. So I'm happy with the PS5 because, and again, my PC does 4K. I can go 4K and then it'll downsample and I'll have a little bit cleaner picture. But yeah, this is not about my PC. Even my new PC, Capone, I'm going to get a different CPU. I'm glad you're here. What do you know about the 5700X? I think I'm going to pull the trigger on that. So I'm going to pull the trigger on that, I believe. But guys, I'm going to jump on off here. I know it's getting closer and closer to Crossfire. I know you guys want to settle in for that. Make sure you go over there, hit that like button for the Mooch. And like I said, arguably best podcast on that I listen to. I want to make that clear. Shout out to 60 Frames No Lag. Why did I miss it? Because we had really bad weather come through, and it was bad. 5800 XD3 is top. Oh yeah. I understand, but I am not going to get. I'm not getting that. I'm okay. I understand you may have a Mustang, but my Sonata has a better warranty, okay? So, but all right, guys, I'm going to jump on off here. I appreciate you. Make sure you hit that like button. Leave a comment or two if you like. Again, Hellblade 2. I need to edit that. Hellblade 2. There we go. Hellblade 2 is 30 FPS on Xbox Series S and X. Again, I'm not surprised, but I am disappointed because, again, it's a first-party linear game. And they should have been able, through being first-party, they should have hit 60 frames per second on this because the first one was they had a 1440p 30 mode, and they also had a 1080p 60 mode. I don't know why they just didn't do that and say, we can go dynamically upscale 1080p to 1440p at 60, and then we're going to have a 4K 30 mode. What the hell, man? But all right, then. I'm going to bounce. I do appreciate you. I got to eat some dinner. Daddy's hungry. I will talk to you all later. Deuces.